Somewhere in a strip mall, sandwiched between a nail salon and a check cashing place, there is a laundromat. The lights are on. Nobody is behind the counter. 40 machines are running, and every single one of them is making money right now, without a single employee lifting a finger. This is the pitch you've heard 100 times. Buy a laundromat, and you've bought a robot that prints cash. No inventory to spoil, no customers to argue with, just quarters, or these days, an app turning into revenue while you sleep. It's not wrong, exactly. It's just incomplete. Because behind that unattended lobby is a business with six-figure startup costs, a water bill that behaves like a mortgage payment, and machines that break down on a schedule you don't control. The laundromat is real passive income. It's just not free income. Somebody paid up front and in full for the right to be absent. Laundromats exist because of a simple housing fact. Roughly a third of American renters don't have a washer and dryer in their unit. Older apartment buildings, dense urban housing, and lower-income housing stock were simply never built with hookups. That population doesn't shrink much in a recession. If anything, it grows, because fewer people are buying homes with their own laundry room. That's the appeal to an owner. The customer isn't optional. Laundry isn't a discretionary purchase you skip when money's tight. It's closer to groceries, unpleasant to pay for, impossible to avoid. The industry is also unusually fragmented. Most laundromats in the country are still independently owned, run by a single operator with one or two locations, not a chain. That fragmentation is exactly what makes the buy an existing one path so common. Sellers are often retiring individuals, not corporations, which means valuations are inconsistent and negotiable. Before a single quarter drops, the money goes out. A new build laundromat, from empty commercial shell to open door, typically runs $300,000 to $500,000, depending on size and city. Buying an existing already equipped laundromat is cheaper up front, often $150,000 to $300,000. But you're paying for someone else's machines, someone else's plumbing, and sometimes someone else's problems. The site itself has non-negotiable requirements most buyers underestimate. 3-phase electrical service, a water and drainage capacity most retail spaces were never built for, and gas lines sized for a wall of dryers instead of a coffee maker. Retrofitting a space that lacks these can add tens of thousands of dollars before a single washer is bolted down. And unlike a lot of small businesses, there's no soft launch. The build-out has to be substantially finished before you make a dollar. The burn happens entirely up front. The machines are the business, and they are not cheap. A single commercial washer runs $2,000 to $10,000, depending on capacity, and a large laundromat needs 30 to 50 of them. Commercial dryers run similarly, often sold in stacked pairs to save floor space. A mid-sized store, say 40 washers and 20 dryer units, can carry $250,000 to $400,000 in equipment alone before card payment systems, security cameras, folding tables, and change machines are added. Then there's what's invisible: the water heater capable of supplying dozens of machines simultaneously, the boiler or gas system feeding the dryers, and the ventilation required to vent that much hot, humid air without cooking the building. None of this generates revenue directly. All of it is mandatory. A laundromat underneath the folding tables is really a small industrial utility plant wearing a retail storefront. Here is the number that surprises new owners most. Water and sewer costs, not rent, are often the single largest recurring expense. A busy laundromat can use 1 million gallons of water a year or more, and sewer districts frequently charge laundromats a premium rate because of the volume and grease/lint load they discharge. Gas is the second largest bill because a dryer running at full heat for an hour is one of the most energy-intensive things in that entire strip mall. Electricity for lighting, HVAC, and card systems adds a third layer. Then come the costs. Nobody puts in a brochure, soap, and softener dispensers that need restocking, lint traps that need constant clearing, coin mechanisms that jam, and machines that require regular preventative maintenance, bearings, seals, belts, or they fail expensively and all at once. A blown bearing on a large washer isn't a $50 fix. It can be a $1,500 repair and a machine sitting empty, earning nothing. Insurance is also higher than a typical retail lease because water damage and fire risk from lint and heat are constant underwriting concerns. Add pest control, security cameras, and janitorial costs for a lobby that's unattended most hours. And the passive business turns out to have a maintenance bill that never sleeps either. Pricing in a laundromat is oddly rational given how irrational the customer's mood usually is. A wash cycle is priced by machine size. Bigger washer, higher price, because the customer is really paying for capacity, not time. Dryers are priced by the minute, which quietly encourages overuse. Nobody wants to walk back for a damp shirt, so most people buy 5 or 10 extra minutes, just in case. Vending machines for detergent and dryer sheets exist for the same reason hotel minibars exist, convenience pricing on an emergency purchase. And card-based payment systems, increasingly replacing coins, let owners run promotions and loyalty pricing, cheaper per load if you prepay in bulk, which increases both convenience and how much cash sits in the system before it's ever spent. Here's the actual structural insight of this business. Labor is optional, and that's the entire model. A restaurant needs cooks. A retail store needs cashiers. A laundromat needs an attendant only if the owner chooses to pay for one, for security, customer help, or wash and fold service. Unattended, the labor cost is close to zero, and the margin on each wash cycle goes almost entirely to the owner, minus utilities and machine wear. Attended, with a part-time employee handling wash and fold for busy customers, labor costs rise, but so does revenue, per square foot, because wash and fold customers pay a premium for their time back. This is the fork in the road. A laundromat is either a low-margin, low-labor, high-volume machine, or a higher-margin service business wearing a laundromat's clothing. Most owners eventually have to pick one identity. Most laundromats are financed through SBA loans, equipment leases, or seller financing when buying an existing store, because traditional banks are cautious about single-purpose real estate. Down payments commonly run 10 to 25% of the total project cost, meaning a $400,000 build-out can still require $50,000 to $100,000 in cash before financing even begins. Loan terms of 7 to 10 years are typical for equipment, longer if real estate is involved. Combined with property tax, commercial rent, or a mortgage, and equipment loan payments, fixed monthly obligations on a mid-sized store commonly run $8,000 to $15,000 before a single load is washed. Break-even, for a well-run store, typically arrives in 3 to 5 years, assuming nothing major breaks in the meantime. Laundromat demand is remarkably steady compared to most retail. People don't stop wearing clothes in a recession. Weekends and evenings after work are peak hours. Weekday mornings can sit nearly empty, machines running for no one. The real risk isn't seasonality. It's competition and location decay. A single new apartment complex with in-unit washers built 2 blocks away can permanently shrink a laundromat's customer base overnight. Rising water and sewer rates, set by a municipality and owner, has zero control over, can quietly erode margin year over year. And because the equipment is mechanical, age is a countdown clock. A store full of 10-year-old machines is a store approaching a very expensive replacement cycle all at once. The failure case looks like this. An owner overpays for an aging store, underestimates the water bill, skips preventative maintenance, and watches margins evaporate as machines fail faster than they're replaced. Net income turns negative within 2 years, and the business is sold at a loss to the next optimist. The acceptable outcome is a well-located, well-maintained, unattended store, $300,000 to $500,000 in annual revenue, operating margins of 20 to 35% after utilities, maintenance, and debt service. Netting an owner $60,000 to $120,000 a year for a few hours of oversight weekly. Solid, unglamorous, real. The excellent outcome belongs to owners who scale 3, 5, 10 locations, run with route-based maintenance staff and centralized purchasing, turning per-store margins, modest on paper, into real wealth through volume. At that scale, a laundromat portfolio can produce ownership income well into 6 or 7 figures. But that outcome requires reinvestment and patience measured in years, not the fantasy of one machine printing money forever. The laundromat is genuinely one of the more honest passive income businesses out there. The demand is real, the unattended model is real, and the cash flow, if you survive the first few years, is real too. But passive was never free. It was paid for in advance, in a 6-figure build-out, in a water bill that never takes a day off, in machines that fail on their own schedule and not yours. The owner who does well isn't the one who found a magic machine. It's the one who understood, going in, that they were really buying a small utility company disguised as a storefront, and priced their risk and their patience.